The station drifted in quiet orbit around a pale blue star, turning slowly, carefully, like something afraid of waking the universe. Inside it, everything was measured. Temperature, light, air pressure, sound levels, emotional displays, all regulated for efficiency and neutrality. The station had been designed by dozens of species working together, and the result was a place that suited no one perfectly, but offended no one either. Humans had arrived only a year ago. Marcus Hale still noticed the cold. He walked through the central habitat ring, boots tapping softly against the smooth floor. The lights above him glowed at the approved brightness level, a soft white meant to reduce strain on compound eyes, layered vision, and light-sensitive skin. To Marcus, it felt dim. Not dark, just tired. He rolled his shoulders as he walked, trying to shake off the stiffness. Humans were still adjusting to station life, and the station was still adjusting to humans. That adjustment mostly meant reminders. Lower your voice, reduce unnecessary movement, avoid prolonged eye contact, refrain from physical contact. Marcus followed the rules. Mostly. He stopped near an observation window and looked out at the star. It reminded him of a winter sun back on Earth, pale and distant but still warm if you stood in the right place. He missed warmth, real warmth, not the carefully calculated thermal output of station systems. Engineer Hale. The voice behind him was soft, precise, and carried a faint harmonic quality. Marcus turned. Valeth stood a few steps away, her posture straight but subtly tense. She was tall and slender, her skin a muted silver blue that reflected light rather than absorbing it. Fine, translucent membranes traced along her arms and neck, rising and falling slowly as she breathed. Her eyes were large and dark, with no visible pupils. Marcus nodded. "Dr. Valeth, what can I do for you?" She hesitated. That alone was unusual. Valeth was known across the station for her clarity and efficiency. She was a xenobiologist, highly respected, and rarely uncertain.
"I have submitted a formal request," she said.
"It has been delayed." Marcus frowned. "What kind of request?" She looked away from him, toward the window, as if choosing her words carefully. A biological accommodation. Marcus had heard those words before. Different species needed different things. Humidity changes, light cycles, mineral supplements. It was normal. "What kind?" he asked again, gently. Violet's membranes fluttered, a sign Marcus had learned meant stress. "I require access to human warmth during rest cycles." Marcus blinked. Once, twice. "I'm sorry," he said. "Human warmth? Yes." He waited for more explanation. None came. "You mean heat?" Marcus asked. "Like temperature? We can adjust your quarters." "Or install a localized heater." She shook her head. The membranes along her neck rippled in a slow, tired motion. That solution was attempted. "Oh, and it didn't work?" "No," Marcus hesitated. "Okay." "Then, body heat? Like proximity to a human? That might be more complicated with station policy."
"It is not proximity alone," Valeth said. "It is presence." That made even less sense.
Marcus rubbed the back of his neck. "Doctor, I want to help, but I'm not sure what you're asking for." Valeth finally looked at him again. Her eyes were steady, but there was something underneath, strain, held tightly in check. "My species cannot enter a full rest state without specific biological signals," she said. "For generations we believed this limitation to be unavoidable outside our homeworld. Long-range travel has always carried a cost." Marcus nodded slowly. "Fatigue, cognitive degradation, emotional instability, shortened lifespan." She paused. "We endure it. That sounds Bad. It is acceptable, she said automatically. Then, after a moment, it was acceptable. Marcus leaned against the railing near the window. What changed? Her answer was quiet. Humans arrived. The words hung between them. Since your species joined the station, Baelith continued, I have experienced unintentional periods of complete rest. Brief at first. Moments of neural silence. Recovery. Marcus felt a chill that had nothing to do with temperature. Unintentional how? When sharing a workspace. When seated nearby during extended analysis sessions. When observing humans during unstructured social interaction. She paused again. Once, during a medical briefing, I fell asleep. Marcus stared at her. You just... passed out? No, she said. I rested. Silence stretched between them, filled only by the distant hum of the station. So you're saying, Marcus said slowly, that being around humans helps your species sleep? Yes. And not just you? No, Marcus exhaled. Okay, that's big. Yes, he straightened. But the station thinks you're asking for heaters. That is correct. And when you say human warmth, they think it's metaphorical or technical. Yes, and you didn't correct them. Baelith's gaze dropped slightly. The implication of the truth was deemed disruptive. Marcus snorted softly before he could stop himself. Yeah, that tracks. She tilted her head. You find this amusing? No, he said quickly.
Sorry. It's just... this place runs on assumptions.
And humans break a lot of those. Baelith considered that. So, I have observed. Marcus pushed off the railing. Look, I can't authorize anything official, but I can help you figure out what's actually going on, if you're willing. I am, she said without hesitation. They walked together through the station, toward a quieter research wing. As they moved, Marcus noticed things he hadn't before. Baelith's movements were precise, but slightly delayed. Her membranes trembled faintly, even when she was still. You're exhausted, he said. Yes. How long has it been since you fully rested? She thought for a moment. By human measurement? Approximately 9 months. Marcus stopped walking. She took another step before realizing he wasn't beside her anymore. She turned back. That's not okay, he said. Her expression remained calm, but there was something softer there now. It is normal for us. Normal doesn't mean good, Marcus said. Then he sighed. Sorry. Human bias. No, she said quietly. Human perspective. They reached a small observation alcove, rarely used. Marcus keyed the door shut behind them, ensuring privacy. The space was simple. 2 seats, low lighting, a wide window showing the slow curve of the station against the stars. Sit, Marcus said. Baelith did so, carefully folding her limbs in a posture that looked uncomfortable to him. He hesitated, then sat in the adjacent seat, leaving a respectful distance. Now what? She asked. Well, he said, we experiment. Non-invasive. No rules broken. She watched him closely.
You are willing to risk disciplinary action?
Marcus shrugged. Worst case, they tell me to stop. Best case, we learn something important.
She considered that humans exhibit unusual risk tolerance. We call it curiosity, he said.
They sat in silence. At first, nothing happened. Marcus focused on his breathing, slow and steady. He was suddenly very aware of his own body, his warmth, the faint buzz of nervous energy under his skin. He wondered if he was imagining things when Baelith's membranes began to slow their movement. Minutes passed. Baelith's posture shifted. Not dramatically, just enough that her shoulders lowered slightly. Her breathing deepened. Marcus glanced at her, then quickly looked away, not wanting to disturb whatever was happening.
Marcus,
she said softly. Yeah? This sensation, she said. It is intensifying. Good or bad? Good, he swallowed. Do you need me to move? No. A pause. Please do not. He stayed still. The station hummed around them, systems running with quiet perfection. Outside the window, the stars did not care. Inside, something small and profound was happening. Thalith's eyes closed, not for a second, not for a moment. They stayed closed. Marcus held his breath without realizing it. He watched as the tension drained from her frame, slow and subtle. Her membranes settled completely, lying flat against her skin. Minutes turned into more. She slept. Marcus had never seen an alien sleep before. Not like this. Not so deeply. A medical alert chimed softly on his wrist console. He glanced at it and felt his heart race. Neural activity stabilized, stress markers dropping, recovery patterns detected. He silenced the alert. He sat there for a long time, afraid to move, afraid to break whatever fragile balance allowed this moment to exist. Eventually, Valith stirred. Her eyes opened, unfocused at first, then clear. She looked at Marcus. I rested, she said. He smiled, a small, careful smile. Yeah.
You did?
Her gaze lingered on him, thoughtful.
This changes many things.
Marcus nodded. Yeah, it really does. Outside, the station continued its slow orbit. Inside, the first misunderstanding had cracked open, revealing something no one had expected. Human warmth was not a resource, it was a presence, and the galaxy was about to learn what that meant. The next day, Marcus did not report the incident, not because he wanted to hide it forever, but because he needed to understand it first. Valith walked beside him through the research corridor, her movements smoother than before. The slight hesitation Marcus had noticed earlier was gone. Her membranes lay flat and calm against her skin, catching the light in soft patterns. You are observing me, she said. Marcus smiled a little. Hard not to. She tilted her head. I am improved. Yeah, he said. That's one way to put it. They reached the xenobiology lab, a quiet space filled with floating displays and sealed sample units. Valith moved to her workstation and began reviewing data from the previous cycle. Marcus leaned against a counter nearby, watching the readings appear in clean, steady lines. Her neural recovery markers were still elevated. Stress indicators were low, too low by station standards. This shouldn't be possible, Marcus said. It should not, Valith agreed. Yet it is. She turned to face him fully. You did not experience any adverse effects. No, he said. Just sat there. You emitted heat, microvibrations, and biochemical signals, she said. All within normal human range. So nothing special, Marcus said. She paused. That may be the special part. Marcus laughed softly. Figures. They spent the next several hours testing small variables. Distance, duration, emotional state. Marcus sat nearby while Valith worked, sometimes speaking, sometimes remaining silent. Each time her body responded the same way. Calm, stability. Recovery. At one point, she stopped mid-sentence. You are fatigued, she said. Marcus blinked. Ah, what? Your posture has shifted. Your breathing is irregular.
He hadn't noticed. Humans were used to pushing through tiredness.
I'm fine. She studied him. You say this often. Yeah, well, occupational habit. She hesitated, then did something unexpected. She stood and moved closer, stopping a careful distance away. "Would you like to rest?" she asked. Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Are you offering?" "I am inquiring," she said. "You provided assistance. It would be appropriate." He considered it. The station rarely allowed humans to rest properly either. Schedules were tight, expectations high. 5 minutes, he said. He sat. She remained standing, uncertain.
"You don't have to stay,"
he said. "I wish to," she replied. He closed his eyes. Marcus did not fall asleep. Humans rarely did that quickly, but something shifted anyway. His shoulders relaxed. His thoughts slowed. The constant low-level alertness he carried on the station eased. After a few minutes, he opened his eyes. "That was nice," he said. Bailiff looked thoughtful. This exchange may not be unidirectional. He frowned. "You think humans get something out of this too?" "Yes." "Well," he said, "that complicates things." It did. Within days, small patterns began to appear. Other members of Valith's species reported improved rest after extended interactions with humans. At first it was dismissed as coincidence, then as placebo, then as measurement error. But the data did not lie. Marcus found himself pulled into meetings he hadn't expected to attend. Quiet ones at first, closed-door discussions with medical officers and ethics observers. This could create dependency, one council member said.
"Or exploitation," said another. "We don't even know how widespread this effect is,"
said a third. Marcus sat at the edge of the table, arms crossed. "With respect, you don't know that it doesn't already exist." Valith stood beside him, calm but firm. "My species has suffered in silence for generations. We believed it was the cost of progress." The room was quiet.
"And now?"
a counselor asked. "Now we know it was unnecessary," she said. There was discomfort in the air, not fear, not anger, a shift in balance. Humans were not supposed to be essential. After the meeting, Marcus and Valith walked together through the habitat ring. Other species passed them, some curious, some wary. A few lingered longer than necessary when Marcus stopped to speak with them. "You are being observed," Valith said quietly.
"Yeah," Marcus said. "We noticed that when we joined the galaxy."
"This is different," she said. "You are no longer just unpredictable," he smiled faintly. "We're good at that, too." That evening, Marcus returned to the observation alcove. He didn't know why he expected Valith to be there. She was. She sat near the window, gazing at the stars. When she sensed him, she turned. "You anticipated my presence," she said. "Guess I did," he replied. They sat together again, closer this time, though still respectful. The silence between them was comfortable now. "My people are debating," Valith said. "Some fear reliance, others feel relief." "Both make sense," Marcus said. "Humans do not fear being relied upon," she observed. "We fear being used," he corrected. Big difference, she considered that. "You refuse commodification." "Always," he said. "We've learned that lesson the hard way." Valith's voice softened. "Then what do you propose?" Marcus leaned back, looking at the stars. "We don't sell warmth. We share space, culture, time. You would redesign interspecies life around human presence," she said. "Not around us," he said.
With us? She watched him carefully. You understand the impact this could have?
He nodded.
"Yeah, and I don't want humans to be treated like tools."
"Or like saviors." "What do you wish to be?" she asked. He smiled. "Neighbors." The word lingered. Days turned into weeks. The station changed in small ways. Lighting softened in shared spaces. Seating arrangements shifted. Humans were no longer discouraged from casual gathering. Valith's species flourished. So did others. It turned out they had been tired too. Not in the same way, not for the same reasons, but enough that human presence eased something deep inside them. Something they had not known was strained. Marcus noticed it most in the quiet moments. Laughter lingering longer, conversation slowing, fewer sharp edges. One evening, as the station drifted through the light of the blue star, Valith stood before the council. Humans did not arrive with superior weapons, she said. They did not conquer systems or demand compliance. She looked at Marcus briefly, then back to the assembly. They arrived warm. The room was silent. This warmth is not a resource to be extracted, she continued. It is a state of being. To take it by force would destroy it.
No one argued.
Later, Marcus sat alone in his quarters, staring at a message request. It was from Earth. A simple question. What's it like out there? He thought for a long moment before replying. It's colder than you'd think, he typed. But we're fixing that. Somewhere else on the station, Valith rested. Truly rested. For the second time in her long life. And the galaxy, slowly, carefully, began to learn how to rest too. The changes did not arrive loudly. There were no alarms. No official announcements broadcast across the station. Instead, it began with small adjustments that most species barely noticed at first. Chairs were moved closer together in shared spaces. Work shifts were lengthened by minutes, then shortened again after review. Quiet rooms were repurposed, no longer empty and unused, but gently occupied. Humans were asked to be present, not ordered. Asked. Marcus felt the difference immediately. The station no longer treated human behavior as a problem to be minimized. Laughter was not flagged as disruptive. Casual conversation was tolerated, then quietly encouraged. Even human walking pace was no longer corrected by polite, automated reminders. It was strange how quickly something that had felt forbidden became normal. Marcus stood in one of the shared rest lounges, hands in his pockets, watching the small group gather. Valith sat near the center. Her posture relaxed in a way that would have been impossible weeks earlier. 2 members of her species rested nearby, their membranes still and calm. Across from them sat a human medic, reading quietly, her presence steady and unremarkable. Unremarkable, and yet everything. You are observing again? Valith said, without opening her eyes. Marcus smiled. You're not wrong. She opened them and looked at him. Your expression suggests concern. Not concern, he said. More like awareness. Of what? Of how fast this is spreading. Valith folded her hands together. Change often feels sudden when it has been delayed for a long time. That's fair, Marcus said. What worried the council was not fear of humans. It was fear of reliance. Reports were coming in from other stations now. Not official requests, not yet, just observations. Crews reporting improved morale after human exchange visits. Long-haul research vessels requesting human liaisons for social balance. Medical teams quietly noting faster recovery times in mixed species wards. Patterns. The galaxy did not like patterns it did not understand. Marcus sat through another closed meeting that week, this one more tense than the last. Council members spoke carefully, choosing words that avoided accusation but carried weight. If human presence becomes necessary, one said, then what happens when humans are absent? Valith responded calmly. The same thing that happened before. We endure. But now we know we do not have to endure alone. That knowledge alone is destabilizing, another counselor said. Marcus leaned forward.
Or stabilizing. Depends on how you look at it.
eyes turned to him.
Humans aren't magic, he continued. We're not fixing anyone. We're just
compatible in a way nobody predicted.
And if that compatibility is exploited? A counselor asked.
Then it stops working, Marcus said simply. You can't force warmth. There was silence at that. After the meeting, Valeth walked with Marcus through a long corridor lined with viewports. Stars drifted past like distant sparks. My people are divided, she said. Some fear cultural erosion. Others fear dependency. Others feel anger that this was hidden from us for so long. Marcus nodded.
That sounds familiar.
She looked at him. Your species has experienced similar revelations.
Yeah,
he said quietly.
More than once.
They stopped near a window. Valeth rested her hand lightly against the transparent surface. Her reflection overlapped with the stars.
We believed ourselves advanced, she said. Emotionally controlled.
Efficient. Resilient.
You are those things, Marcus said.
Yes, she agreed, but we mistook endurance for health. Marcus didn't reply right away. He thought of Earth, of generations who had done the same. That night, the station experienced its first public debate. Not a council session, not a formal hearing, a gathering. Humans had suggested it. An open forum, no agenda beyond listening. At first, attendance was sparse, a few humans, Valeth and 2 others from her species, a handful of observers. Then more arrived, different species, different postures. Some stood, some sat, some hovered. No one spoke at first. Marcus broke the silence.
We're not here to decide anything, he said.
We're here because something changed, and pretending it didn't won't help. A voice spoke from the back. You make us dependent. Marcus looked toward the speaker. A tall, rigid being with faceted skin and carefully controlled movements. We didn't choose to, Marcus said. And we don't want to, another voice followed. You alter our internal rhythms. Yes, Valeth said.
They do. That is dangerous.
Valeth turned fully toward the speaker. So is exhaustion. So is unending strain. So is believing suffering is the price of existence. Murmurs rippled through the space. A small avian-like being spoke next. When humans joined our research team, productivity decreased. But error rates also decreased. No one reported that. Marcus smiled faintly. We're not great at rushing. Discussion grew slowly, cautiously. Not arguments, conversations. Stories. A navigator spoke of how human voices filled silence on long shifts. A medic spoke of patients who slept better with humans nearby, even without touch or interaction. An engineer admitted that working alongside humans made problems feel less final. No one called it superiority. They called it difference. When the gathering ended, there were no conclusions. But people lingered longer than expected, talking in small groups, sitting closer, resting. The council could not ignore it anymore. A proposal was drafted, carefully worded. Humans would not be assigned as biological support. There would be no quotas, no requirements. Instead, shared habitation models would be encouraged. Mixed crews, mixed rest cycles, cultural exchange that went both ways. Human warmth would remain undefined. That mattered. Marcus read the proposal late one night, sitting alone in the observation alcove. Valeth joined him quietly. This will reshape interstellar society, she said. He nodded. Slowly, and then all at once. She sat beside him, closer than before, not touching, but near enough that the space between them felt intentional. There is something else, she said. He glanced at her. Yeah? My species is not the only one affected, she said. You know this. I do. There are others, she continued, who experience this effect more strongly, who have hidden their fatigue out of pride. Marcus frowned. How many? Enough. He leaned back, staring at the stars. The galaxy's been tired a long time. Yes, she said, and now it has met a species that rests openly. That idea unsettled some and comforted others. Marcus felt it himself. Humans had always been told to push, to endure, to adapt. Rest was earned, not shared. Now the galaxy was learning something humans had barely learned themselves. Rest was not weakness. A message arrived from Earth a few days later. Not official. Personal. Are you okay out there? Marcus stared at the words for a long time before answering. We're okay, he typed. But we're also needed in ways we didn't expect. The reply came hours later. That sounds like us. On the station, more humans arrived. Not soldiers. Not diplomats. Teachers. Artists. Technicians. Ordinary people. They were welcomed cautiously, then warmly. Valith watched it all with quiet intensity. One evening, as she rested beside Marcus in the alcove, she spoke again. There is fear that humans will become central, she said. Marcus sighed. Yeah, I get that. And if you withdraw, then things go back to how they were, he said. But the memory stays. She closed her eyes. That may be enough. Marcus watched her rest, truly rest, and felt something shift inside himself. Humanity had always wondered what it would offer the stars. It turned out the answer was not strength, or speed, or intelligence. It was permission. Permission to slow down. Permission to breathe. Permission to sleep without fear that doing so meant falling behind. Outside, the station continued its endless movement through space. Inside, the galaxy adjusted its pace. And for the first time, no one rushed to stop it. The proposal passed without celebration. There were no cheers, no public announcement filled with pride or triumph. The council approved it quietly, with careful wording and many safeguards. Humans would not be labeled as biological necessities. No species would be required to host or include them. Everything would remain voluntary. On paper, nothing had changed. In reality, everything had. Marcus felt it the moment he stepped into the central habitat ring. The space felt different now. Warmer, not in temperature, but in sound and movement. Conversations overlapped. A human group sat on the floor, with two non-humans who had never before chosen to sit so low. Laughter echoed, uncorrected by station systems. No one rushed. Marcus walked slowly, letting himself feel it. He realized something then that made him pause. For the first time since leaving Earth, he did not feel like a guest. Valith joined him near one of the large windows. Her presence was calm and steady, her posture relaxed in a way that still surprised those who remembered her from before. You are grounded, she said. He smiled. You make it sound like a diagnosis. It is an observation, she replied. You are more present.
Yeah, he said.
I think I am. She looked out at the stars. Some on the council fear that humans will change us too much. Marcus nodded. That's fair. And others fear you will not change us enough, she added. He laughed softly. Also fair. They stood in silence for a while. The station drifted, unbothered. What concerns you? Marcus asked. Valith took her time answering. Power. He turned to her. In what sense? Not the kind that commands, she said. The kind that attracts, that reshapes systems without asking permission. Marcus frowned slightly. You think we're doing that? I think you cannot help doing that, she said gently. You do not seek control. That makes the effect stronger. Marcus rubbed his face. We really didn't plan for this. I know, she said. That is why it is difficult. The difficulty arrived faster than expected. Within weeks, requests began coming in from outside the station. Not demands, invitations, research hubs asking for human consultants, deep space crews requesting longer human rotations, diplomatic missions asking for humans to be present, not as negotiators, but as participants. The language was always careful, for balance, for morale, for shared rhythm. Marcus sat in his quarters, reading the compiled requests, feeling the weight of them settle in his chest. This is how it starts, he muttered. Vaelith sat across from him.
You fear overextension and resentment, he said, from everyone.
From us. She inclined her head. Humans are not accustomed to being desired for something they did not build or earn, Marcus blinked. That's painfully accurate. The human delegation met privately that night. No council members. No observers. Just humans, sitting in a loose circle. Some on chairs. Some on the floor. We need limits, one said. We need clarity, said another. We need to protect ourselves, a third added. Marcus listened more than he spoke. When it was his turn, he chose his words carefully. We don't become a service, he said. We don't become infrastructure. If someone wants humans around, they accept humans as people. All of us. The noise, the emotions, the disagreements. And if they don't? Someone asked. Then we don't go, Marcus said. There was relief in the room. Tension eased slightly. They drafted a response together. Simple, firm, warm. Humans would participate in shared life, not be assigned to fix it. When the message went out, reactions were mixed. Some species withdrew their requests. Others revised them. A few tried to argue. None succeeded. What surprised everyone was what happened next. Species that had never reached out before began doing so, not because they needed rest, but because they wanted connection. They had watched the changes and decided they wanted that kind of future too. The station became a model. Architects redesigned communal spaces across known space, not copying human design, but allowing for closeness, for pauses, for unstructured time. Vaelith traveled to several of these places as an advisor. Marcus joined her when he could. Together, they watched the galaxy learn something it had forgotten. That efficiency was not the same as health. On one world, a senior official asked Marcus a question he had not expected. Why do humans sit together in silence? The official asked. You are not exchanging data. Marcus thought about it. Sometimes silence is the point. The official considered that. We have not practiced that. You're doing fine, Marcus said. On another station, a young researcher from Vaelith species approached her with trembling membranes. I slept, the researcher said, without fear, without interruption. Vaelith placed a gentle hand on the researcher's arm. You were always capable of rest, she said. You simply lacked the environment. The idea spread, not that humans were necessary, but that environments mattered. Back on the original station, tension still existed. Some species resisted. Some clung to old rhythms. That was expected. Change did not move evenly. Marcus felt the strain himself one evening, sitting alone in the observation alcove. The stars felt farther away than usual. Vaelith joined him, without a word. She did not sit immediately. Instead, she stood nearby, giving him space. You are carrying too much, she said. He smiled weakly. Guess that's contagious too. You are allowed to rest, she said. I know, he replied, Hard habit to break. She sat beside him, close enough that he felt the warmth of her presence as clearly as she felt his. It struck him then how strange the symmetry was. They had begun this thinking humans were giving something. Now it was clear they were sharing it. You once said humans evolved to endure, Baelith said quietly. I think you also evolved to recover. Marcus closed his eyes for a moment. We forget that sometimes. Outside the alcove, the station lights dimmed slightly, adjusting to a slower cycle. No one had ordered it. The system had adapted, responding to usage patterns. The station was learning too. Later, a council session convened, larger than any before. Species from across known space attended remotely. Baelith stood at the center, calm and steady. Humans have not conquered us, she said. They have not replaced our ways. They have reminded us that survival is not the highest goal. Living is. There was no applause, only understanding. When Marcus returned to his quarters that night, another message from Earth waited for him. You sound different lately. He smiled as he replied. We're learning how to slow down. Together, far from Earth, among unfamiliar stars, humanity had found its place. Not at the center, but as a constant. A steady presence in a tired galaxy, reminding it that rest was not something to earn, but something to share. And the galaxy, cautiously but willingly, leaned closer. The station no longer felt like a machine pretending to be a home. It felt lived in. Marcus noticed it most in the mornings. The corridors were quieter, but not empty. People moved without urgency, without the sharp edge of constant purpose. Some greeted each other, some did not. Both were acceptable now. He stood near a window, watching a small group gather in the shared space below. A human child floated gently beside a being with long ribbon-like limbs. Nearby, two researchers from different species sat close together, speaking softly, not working, not rushing. The galaxy had not slowed down. It had learned when to pause. Baelith approached him, her footsteps light. She had changed too, not in form, but in presence. Where she once carried tension like armor, now she carried calm, like balance. The Long-Range Council has finalized its findings, she said. Marcus did not turn right away.
Let me guess.
Lots of careful language. Yes, she replied. And one clear conclusion. He faced her. Which is? She met his eyes. Human warmth is now classified as a relational phenomenon, not a biological resource. Marcus let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. That's better than I expected. It was debated extensively, Baelith said. Some wished to define it, to measure it. And they failed, she said simply. It changed when observed too closely. Marcus smiled. That sounds about right. The galaxy had tried at first to understand humans the way it understood everything else, through data, through charts and controlled studies. But human warmth did not behave like a variable. It was inconsistent, contextual, personal. It depended on choice. As the months passed, the station became a symbol, not of human dominance, but of shared adjustment. Other stations followed, not copying its structure, but its philosophy. No species was asked to become human. Humans were simply allowed to be human. And that turned out to be enough. Marcus received one final invitation from the council. Not a request, an acknowledgement. They wanted him present when the declaration was read. He stood beside Baelith in the central chamber, surrounded by representatives from across known space. Some appeared as projections. Others were physically present. All were quiet. The declaration was short. It stated that humanity had altered interstellar life not by force, not by invention, but by presence. That this presence could not be owned required consent, and functioned only in mutual respect. It concluded with a sentence that would later be quoted across the galaxy. Humans are not essential because they are superior, but because they are willing to share rest. There was no applause. There was something better. Peace. After the session, Marcus and Violeth returned to the observation alcove one last time. The blue star shone softly beyond the window, steady and distant. "You will leave soon," Violeth said. "Yeah," Marcus replied. "Rotation's up. Earth wants updates. More people will come." "Does that trouble you?" she asked. He considered it. "A little. Change always does." She nodded. "You taught us that rest does not mean stagnation. And you taught us we don't have to carry everything alone," he said. They stood together in comfortable silence. "I will continue this work," Violeth said. "Guiding, observing, protecting balance." Marcus smiled. "You're good at that." "And you?" she asked. "I'll go home," he said. "Tell them what I can. Try not to turn this into a myth." She tilted her head. "You believe that will be difficult?" "Very," he said with a laugh. When the time came for him to leave the station, it did not feel like an ending. The corridor was full. Humans and non-humans alike had gathered, not to celebrate, but to witness. Some waved, some simply stood nearby. Violeth stepped forward. "My species once believed exhaustion was the price of existence," she said. "We were wrong, because we believed rest had to be earned." She looked at Marcus. "You showed us that rest can be shared." Marcus felt his throat tighten. "You did the work. We just sat there." That earned a ripple of quiet amusement. As his shuttle pulled away from the station, Marcus watched it grow smaller through the viewport. Lights glowed warmly across its surface, no longer harsh or distant. He thought of the galaxy beyond it, vast, old, tired, and now a little more gentle. Back on Earth, months later, Marcus sat in a quiet park. The air was warm. Children played nearby. People rested on benches, doing nothing in particular. He received a message from Violeth. "We rested today," it read. "Without need, without fear." Marcus smiled and typed his reply. "That's good. Don't forget how." He looked up at the sky. Blue and endless. Humanity had once asked what it would mean to join the stars. The answer turned out to be simple. They brought with them the courage to stop moving, the kindness to stay close, and the warmth to remind the universe that survival alone was never the goal. And somewhere far away, among unfamiliar stars, the galaxy slept a little easier, because humans were there, not to lead, not to rule, but to sit beside it in the quiet and stay.